What's going on? What's going on, everybody? It is the Only Sports Podcast. That's right, the Only Sports Podcast. I'm Will. That's Casino over there. How we doing today, Casino?
I'm doing fantastic. I loved the football weekend because everybody's bad at football, guessing now, and it's fantastic. It's great. Everything's great.
Yeah, the unpredictability definitely makes it more entertaining because nobody knows what the hell is going to happen or happening while it's happening. Uh,
Exactly.
but we are here today, Casino. We're going to talk some college football. We're going to talk,
Woo.
obviously, NFL Week 2. But first, Casino, I know you love games
I
because
do.
you're always playing games with my heart. But do you hear that off in the distance, Casino? Do you hear that?
No.
You don't hear that?
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Because it's time to play, Casino. Jump ship or stay course. And I'm your captain.
God, I
So,
haven't seen that hat in a long. I got rid of mine.
I've still kept it. It looks very weird because I
Uh,
can't fit it on my head with my headphones.
so
But
for those who are just listening, it's a sailor cap. It's a captain sailor cap that we had at one of our bachelor parties. It was your bachelor party. I don't remember.
it was my bachelor party.
Ugh.
And so we are playing Jump Ship or Stay Course Casino. I'm going to give you 5 teams. You tell me if, as if you're the captain of this ship, do you try to stay the course or are you abandoning them and jumping overboard? Let's first go with the Jaguars. They are 0-2, played just an abysmal game against the Browns, losing 18-13. Our former MVP, Trevor Lawrence, 14 for 30, 220 yards. I believe he got sacked. Let me look it up. Oh yeah, 1,000 times in this game. New record for new record for the NFL. Is it time to jump ship or stay the course with the Jacksonville Jaguars, Casino?
Totally jumping ship. I'm done. I've tried for 2 years now, and this would be the third where I've tried to say Trevor Lawrence is good. I can't anymore.
Yeah, I agree. Again, the stats don't look bad, 14 for 30, 220 yards. But when you watch that game, he took a safety. He holds onto the ball way too long. I don't know. There's no like wow from him anymore. It looks like he's always running for his life, but also we'll get to Caleb
So,
Williams.
but here's the thing: is it him or is it just the Jaguars organization?
I don't know, but
Because
when
I
I
mean,
watch,
I want to as we start talking about other teams and whatnot. Hell, I'll just say it now, and we'll talk about it a little later. There, look what Sam Darnold did. Like, is it organizations or is it just the quarterback? Like, come
yeah,
on now. We got to figure that out.
that's very true.
Okay.
But so for Jaguars, but I do say I think both of us just not on Trevor Lawrence, but on the Jaguars jumping ship.
Jumping ship.
All right, next one. Both teams in the AFC North. Let's start with the Bengals first. 0-2. Jump ship or stay the course?
I'm staying the course.
Ooh,
I'm staying the course.
I might be jumping ship.
I'm staying the course. They looked. I know Patrick Mahomes had one of his worst games, probably his entire career, but they lost that game due to some fucking zebras left out on the goddamn field.
We'll get to
Um,
it. We'll get to
we'll
it.
get to it. They played really well. Again, I've seen the Patriots do it twice where they started 0-2 and they win. Yes, I know that this is a tall order for the Bengals to come back and even make the playoffs. It's really, really tough to do. But I'm not jumping ship just yet on them. I liked the bounce back that they had against the Patriots, and we found out this week the Patriots aren't a bad team. They're going to put up a fight every single game, it seems like. So
Yeah.
I'm not jumping ship on the Bengals just yet. If they go 0-3, okay, then we got to discuss that heavily. But I'm not too concerned yet. But they do play
Well,
the Commanders next, so we shall see. If they lose to
Yes.
the Commanders at home, yeah,
No, and they if they lose to the Commanders at home, especially on Monday Night Football after playing one of their best games against the Chiefs, then yeah,
against
I
the
think
Chiefs,
it
who had Patrick Mahomes playing one of his worst games
well,
ever.
and yeah, and Joe Burrow, I mean, he looked good in that game, but
He did look good. Look at that hair.
I'll tell you what, hair's growing on me. I
Told
really
you.
I think it looked really
I
good.
could
He
barely
looked
see your eyes, and I miss it. I miss them.
There we
There you
go.
go.
But yeah, he was 23 for 36, 258 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He did have, I mean, just one of the most backbreaking fumbles you're going to see, which always seems to happen against the Chiefs. Look at Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl. They just get those quarterback sacks that turn into that turn into fumble sixes, and it's
Yeah,
just backbreaking and just destroys all momentum.
the fumble
It
Roofski.
yeah. Am I jumping ship on the Bengals? Yes, but
You're on the dinghy.
I'm on the dinghy and I'm staying close to the ship so I can jump back on at any second, Casino. My rope is still attached to the ship.
You're
I'm
you're
just
holding on to the rope in your dinghy.
yes, and I'm just floating. I'm getting a heavy wake, just riding it on the side. But I might, if they go 0-3, I'm cutting
You,
the
you
rope.
you're letting go.
Yeah. Other team in the AFC North, the Ravens 0-2, losing to the Las Vegas Raiders, which is just embarrassing. Jump ship or stay the course for the Ravens, Casino.
Oh, um, Henry did put up more yards this week.
And he looked good in that game.
He
He
looked good
did.
in that game, and that's the reason I'm not jumping ship just yet on the Ravens. They've never gone 0-2 and made the playoffs. They've never done it. But I'm not jumping ship just yet. They played the Chiefs. They were a toe away from winning that game. I mean, obviously it would go to overtime, but you know, could
Yeah.
potentially winning that game. You know, this was a epic breakdown, but Gardner Minshew played really well. First off, like I just think the Raiders, we might have underestimated them a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not
also,
I'm not jumping ship just yet on the Ravens. Again, I want to see what they can offer up next week. Who do they got here? I had it pulled up. I was looking at it. Dang it, dang it. They got the Cowboys at home. Or they got the Cowboys on the road. They're playing the Cowboys. And I don't have any faith in the Cowboys. I think the Ravens take them down. Oh, that is big. That's awesome. Good balloons. Big
I
balloons.
do think I kind of agree with the Raiders take, which is we've always known Gardner Minshew is just at least a starting quarterback in this league. Like there's so many guys who are quarterbacks in this league where you're like, he's a clear backup, he's a clear just come in for a couple games. Gardner Minshew is definitely one of the best 32 quarterbacks in the league. Wherever you want to put him is fine as long as he's one of the 32.
Yeah, you can put
But
32 if you like, but I would pick him over a lot of the backups for sure.
yes, yeah. And at this point, I'd pick him a lot over a lot of the starters. I mean, from what we've seen the first couple weeks. But then you look at I really do like the Raiders offense. You have Devontae Adams, you have Jacoby Myers, and then you have Brock Bowers, who 2 weeks into the season looks like the best tight end maybe in the league. Like he's just
Yeah,
always
maybe they're going to get it put together.
He's starting to develop that Kelsey thing where he becomes a huge threat, and for some reason he's a big weapon on the team that just always happens to be open, like
Yeah,
just
and then
always open.
that will open up the rest of the game. Fun
Yeah.
fact: I'm actually going to the game this Sunday against the Panthers.
Ooh,
So
Raiders and Panthers.
I am.
Ooh,
So you remember, Chris, my best friend. I know you're not my
yes.
best friend, but you're my friend.
I
Um,
know.
but his family has season tickets, and so his wife can't go. So me and Brittany are joining him, and it's gonna be fun as shit.
Ooh.
They got good seats. They got some good seats. They got some club seats.
Oh shit. Casino's
Yeah,
gonna be
I'm gonna
well.
be. I think I'm 11 rows. If I did the math number on the 11 rows back on the 30-yard line, visitor side.
Damn. They must
I'm
have
ready to see a
seen
blowout. I'm ready to see a blowout. I want to see a college football score. I want to see 78-0.
Well, they must have seen the last podcast where you're the most well-known Las Vegas celebrity. I mean,
No.
also,
I'm excited.
I was gonna introduce myself as Casino's wife's favorite podcaster, but I'll
Dude,
save
that
that
was
for
so funny.
Thursday.
She was just that was so funny.
I'll save that. Now
She was
all the
so
teams.
unimpressed that I was picked as the best celebrity in Vegas, the hottest celebrity in Las Vegas.
Now Casino, I was going to do all 0-2 teams, but a 1-1 team snuck in here, and that is the Miami Dolphins. 1-1, but talking about Thursday night's game, gets knocked out again with another concussion. Who knows how long he'll be out this
Well,
time?
he just put out a statement that he is not giving up. He's not retiring. He's going to go to concussion specialists and he's going to still play the game. Dude, if I was him and if I was his family member, like I would be like crying just like, dude, stop playing football. You're going to die. And
Well,
if you don't die
also,
now, you're going to get CTE in 5 years and then die again. And like,
yeah.
dude,
Well,
he's
also,
getting
there's
rocked.
like the incentive to stay is you get to play football. We get it. He loves it, right? He wants to be out there.
But he
But
just got
there's
paid.
also incentive to walk away with $100 million guaranteed. $100 million.
Yeah, I
Would
know.
you?
I mean, if this would have happened before his contract, his new contract, okay, sure. I know you love football, but I still would have walked away. Like I'm trying to be a realist here. If I was in those shoes, I mean, I give so much respect to Andrew Luck when he was like, "Oh no, like I'm I'm fearful for my life. Like, I want to be able to live a happy life. I'm retiring." And everybody was pissed off for him. I respect the decision. I respect that decision wholeheartedly. So
Yeah,
if Tua was just like, yeah, this is another concussion. I don't want to have CTE in 5 years. If I don't already have it or get it, I you should walk away. So
yeah,
I can't I can't believe that he wants to stay. But now that you got guaranteed money in the bank, 100 million goddamn dollars, go, dude. Go do what all those other quarterbacks, who leave the game, go get endorsement deals, go onto TV. I'm sure people would love to see him on TV. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't, but I don't
Well,
need him up there yelling, "It's a quarterback league." I don't need that. I don't
I'll
need
tell
that.
you what is it? After he just went after that Brian Johnson or whatever, after he just eviscerated him, I was like, you know what? I could see him on TV. Just like I want there to be on TV for the NFL. I want there to be players who are assholes. Why do we not have that was
No,
the
no,
that's
we
the
we
whole
just
thing.
we just have dumb people like Gronkowski on there, and then
But
people who
see,
can't, people who shouldn't be in front of a damn camera, aka Tom Brady. I love both of them, but Tom is awful. I can't. I am having trouble watching or listening to his commentary for a game. I'm like, dude,
yeah.
come on
Well,
now.
also, when you listen to Tom Brady outside of the booth talk about football, he's really critical. He's kind of an asshole. He like puts everybody down, and everybody was like, he's going to be fantastic on TV, right? And then he goes on TV and he's like Mr. Nice Guy, like doing the announcer thing of acting like every player and every team is really good. And it's
Yeah,
just,
there's a
what
line
an
that he can't.
asshole you.
Well, there's a line he can't cross that because he's in the media. He can't be the asshole person. The farthest he can go is just have sex and have it listened to. Like that's the line, man. I mean, once you cross that line and you start knocking and yelling at players and calling them crap, then you're out. But go and have sex and record it and put it on TV.
Our last, and we'll talk about Bills Dolphins, the game itself in a minute, but
So I'm
I
jumping
think,
ship. I'm out. I'm
yeah,
out.
I am also jumping ship on the
I'm
Dolphins.
done. I'm
Our
done.
last 0-2 team, Casino, that I want to ask you, jump ship or stay the course, the Los Angeles Rams, 0-2, jump ship or stay the course?
I'm jumping ship because they have lost every offensive weapon they have.
That
Every
is
single one.
exactly why I am
they're
jumping
so
ship.
they're so screwed.
Yeah.
I was wrong. I will say this. I was wrong to start the season They could have been a potential upset team. However, now they have zero offensive weapons. Their four main players when it comes to that team are now out. Like, oh, I feel so bad for them.
Yeah, every year there's at least 2 or 3 teams that are snake bitten by, like, the injury bug.
And I was right about Cooper Cup.
Yeah, I mean, Cooper Cup came back, had 2 great games,
Great
and then it
game.
was like, he's back, and then he's injured. Puka Nakua's already out. The fantasy steal of everyone's draft, or as he was supposed to be, I can't remember his name right now, but he was the third string wide receiver where they were like, you thought Puka Nakua was good, it's going to be this guy now. And then he did take over the reins, but if that's the only guy you got, I don't know if I trust the Rams running game.
Uh, let's see here. Was
I'm
it Jordan Whittington, Demarcus
no
Robinson?
Demarcus Robinson, that's who it was. So he had 2 receptions, 50 yards in a game against the Cardinals that before anybody even noticed that game was on, the Cardinals were up 14-0. Like, and it was just what is it? 19 of 27, 216 yards.
I'm looking at some of the names for the Rams players, and I forgot that they had Atwell's first name is Tutu.
Yeah, so they have
I
no
remember
Cooper
I see his
Cup.
last name on there. I'm like, Atwell, yeah, and then I forgot. Oh yeah, it's Tutu Atwell. I was like, that's great.
But this Rams team gets blown out 41-10. Game wasn't even close. They lost their 2 best weapons the first 2 weeks. There's only so much you can do. I don't know what to make of this Rams defense
I feel
either.
bad for him. I feel bad for him because
It,
they were going to turn some heads this year. Surprising to me, not to you, but to me, that yeah. So let me ask you this: does that mean the Cardinals are good? We'll get to that. I just
yes.
throwing that up
Let's
there.
So let's jump back to Thursday Night Casino, where the Bills absolutely, even we just talked about the Tua concussion stuff, but the Bills absolutely blasted the Dolphins 31-10. When Tua was in the game, he threw 3 interceptions, 1 touchdown, less than 150 yards. He obviously gets knocked out of the game on a weird play because he basically dove into the guy tackling him head first and then just kind of like got concussed from hitting the guy himself. I don't know. He already had the first down. Why didn't he slide? Again, I'm not a football player, so I won't be like, why didn't this super athletic guy do this instead of this? As if I would ever be out there. But when we talk about the Dolphins, we just both said we're jumping ship. But
Yep.
Casino on the Sunday show last night, or on the Eagles grieving, whatever is in your background, it is very loud.
Hey, I'm trying to stop my son from playing with all of his toys super loud. I'm trying to continue.
But it was when we talked last night's show, I did a Eagles grieving session for 20 minutes. I started talking about who are the actual competitors and competition in the AFC and especially the NFC. In the AFC, I mean, it's really just the only 2 teams that can take down the Chiefs at this point. Is it just the Bills and the Texans? Is that it? Those are the only 2.
No, we saw the Ravens. We saw the Ravens almost do it. We saw
Oh,
the
there's
Ravens.
also
We saw the
also the
Ravens almost do it,
Chargers.
and I have the Ravens. Yeah, we'll get to the Chargers. Ooh, hoo, hoo. But I have the Ravens still there. I mean, they're out of all the 0-2 teams. They're the one that I'm not super worried about. I'm not.
Yeah. I do think they should probably be 1-1 at this minute. I don't know. We'll get to that game in a minute, so I'll save my thoughts on that. But the only undefeated teams in the AFC right now are the Chiefs, are the Texans, are the Bills, and are the Chargers. So I am very curious to see what both Chargers Chiefs games look like this season. Oh, there's also the 2-0 Steelers. So maybe that's how you beat Mahomes, is you just smack them around and then just make it a field goal game where I don't know. But
Potentially.
yeah, but when it comes to the Bills and the Dolphins, I was 100% out on the Bills before the start of this
I told
season.
you no.
And Josh Allen, I mean, in this game, he didn't
He
really even
wasn't
do
great.
anything.
Yeah, he didn't do. He
No.
didn't have to do anything.
It was just the Bills' defense was the thing that I think
Mm,
everybody, including myself, really underestimated because they were the 3 best defenses I've seen this year have been the Bills, the Steelers, and the Saints. Like, all 3 of those defense have just really, really
yeah,
impressed
I
me
mean,
when I
this will
watch
blow
their
your mind.
games.
Time of possession, Dolphins had 13 more minutes of time of possession, and the Bills defense, they had no sacks. They were just they were just not letting them move.
Yeah, well, they also weren't letting anybody get behind them. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, you look at the
I mean, when I say they did total yards, Dolphins did have 351 total yards. Every single stat except for yards per play, the Dolphins were better in. Yet it's 31-10. Explain
yeah,
that.
and A-Chain had a really good game against, again, a Bills defense that looked pretty great, but with have you seen that stat where, like, there's literally been for the first 2 weeks of the season, there's been, like, half the amount of passing touchdowns there was last year in the
Yeah.
first 2 weeks, so it's like, I feel like now we devalued running back so much, and now it's like every team is
Yeah.
just running the rock and nobody can pass,
And
so
so also I know Tua got his concussion and all that, but before that, he had 3 interceptions.
yeah,
Let's
and
talk about that. Let's
and they
talk
were
about that.
bad
They were
interceptions
bad
too.
interceptions. So again, he got paid. Do you think he really gave a shit now? I mean, I'm surprised. I'm surprised after how he's done so far, which I don't think has been great to start the season. Obviously, now he's knocked out with the concussion. I would just throw in the towel right now. I'd be like, "Oh, there is my life preserver. There is my life preserver to walk away from football and not embarrass myself anymore. I've got another concussion. Like I should just call it a quits. I got paid. I'm 100 million guaranteed. I should just stop."
Yeah. Uh I kind of yeah. But again, you can't if he legitimately is just like I'm going to keep playing, like then that's on you. Like not that's not going to affect me at all. It's going to affect you. It's only going to affect me if I see you die on the field or if and again the irony of Mar Hamlin being the one to knock him out of the game with a concussion. Uh that's
And you know
that's
what? And he had a and Damar Hamlin had a good game. He had 8 tackles and 2 assisted tackles. Like,
Well, the crazy thing is when that happened on the Monday night, he was like the 3rd string safety. Now he's their starting safety. So
dude, he
he's
looks.
he's
I
good.
mean, he had the most tackles of all players. He looked great. He looked
Prob
outstanding.
Probably because it's not the DeMar Hamlin of the past casino. We have that conspiracy theory. We have that conspiracy theory. But let's move on, casino, to huh. Wait a second. What am I looking at right here? The Vikings beat the 49ers. Who could have seen that coming, casino? Who could have seen the Vikings being good? Yes, I will milk this prediction uh until the Vikings aren't good. But right now they're good. And Sam Darnold all of a sudden is just what everybody thought he would be 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago. Like everybody has just been waiting and waiting and waiting. Like these Sam Darnold believers out there just talking
I
about,
was
oh
never
my
one.
God, I was never one either. But there was so many people that was just like, he gets in the right situation and watch out. And then it took him, I mean, what? Yeah, he's been in the league for 5 years. So what? It took him 5 years to finally get to a situation where the starting quarterback goes down. And then he's now leading the 2-0 Vikings, which when we were doing the team
Insane.
previews, it was, what is it? I was saying how every position the Vikings had really impressed me, and I think they were super undervalued. And the only reason I couldn't get behind them was because their quarterback was going to be Sam Darnold, who statistically is one of the worst 32 quarterbacks in the league. Well, all of a sudden, he goes and plays the 49ers, and he's doing throws. I mean, the throw to win the game, casino, he throws between 3 49ers defenders where only his guy can catch it. He has to turn to like catch it to fall down and win the
Right.
game. I mean, I found this on Twitter. What is it? Sam Darnold, he won the game with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and TJ Hawkinson out of the game. So he won against one of the best defenses in the league with his 3 top targets out and still made an amazing throw. Like, I cannot
Yeah, I mean, I
hype up
will
Sam
say
Darnold enough.
that one throw to Jefferson before he left the game. Oh,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
that was
A
that was outstanding. And you know what though? Like Brock Purdy didn't have a bad game. Like I'm starting to hear the whole Brock Purdy talk again. I'm like, he did fine. He was 28 for 36, touchdown interception. I mean, that's very comparable with Sam Darnold's 17 for 26, two touchdowns and interception. Like
Yeah,
very
and
comparable.
also, well, he was also, we're talking about how the Rams are no longer a contender with all their guys hurt. In this game, Kittle got knocked out for a while, Debo got knocked out for a while, Christian McCaffrey was already out. So it's like, why again? I've never understood the Purdy discourse where it's like, everybody agrees, like, oh, Matthew Stafford doesn't have Puka Nakua and Cooper Cup. Like, why would he be good? He's going to struggle, right? Like the Rams. But then when it comes to the 49ers, they're going to have, they're going to be down 4 of their 5 best guys. And it's like, why can't Purdy just go undefeated and lead them to a Super Bowl? I've never understood the Purdy discourse where it's every other quarterback is allowed to have excuses except for Brock Purdy. And again, I'm one of the number one 49ers haters. So for me to say this, like, what are we talking about? But again, I've seen the same discourse you have where now all of a sudden everybody wants to shit on Brock Purdy like he had a bad game when again, he was down his 3 starting weapons and still finished with over 300 yards. Caleb Williams can't throw for over 100, and I was told he was the next Mahomes, right? Like, we'll get to that.
um, First,
Oh,
first off, I'm sorry. I'm trying to be good with the mute button here, but my son is just having. I've turned off all of his toys that make noise, but now he's got, of course, all the wooden toys, and he's smiling at me as he's banging them together. I'm like, all right, have fun, little guy. He's very peachy this morning. And I'm happy about it.
But also in this game, Casino, you talked about the Justin Jefferson Hail Mary. Did you also see the ref on that play literally stride for stride with Justin Jefferson just going down the field? I
Dude,
mean,
the refs are they can run.
sneaky athletic.
Very
Sneaky
sneaky
athletic.
athletic.
That guy also breaking
You know what that
news.
reminded me of? Have you ever seen that video of the camera guy for the track race, like running with the camera?
Yeah. Yeah. But this is breaking news, Casino. The Chiefs actually just signed that guy to wide receiver. The referee from that game, he signed them to wide receiver. But let's move on, Casino, to our next game on the docket. Your New England Patriots lose 23-20 in OT to a Seahawks team that is pretty surprising how good the Seahawks look. One of the last, I believe, like 7 or 8 undefeated teams in the league.
Right.
Uh,
That was a good
but
game.
I know you watched this whole game.
I was watching that whole game, and I know the numbers don't look good for Jacoby Brissett, um, but there was some plays where he got the ball where only his receivers could get it, which was really nice. He protected the football. Like it was just a really good, hard fought game by both teams. Like the offense and the defenses. Yes, it looks like the defenses weren't playing that great, but it was really entertaining. I just think both quarterback plays were outstanding and good on Geno Smith. He played outstanding. He played outstanding.
Yeah.
I mean, his connection with DK Metcalf was just insane. Metcalf, 10 receptions, 129 yards, a touchdown, looked great. And then on the other side, Jacoby Brissett with Hunter Henry, 8 receptions, 109 yards. Like they were just beating each other up. It was a fantastic game. And I told you it was going to be close. But what
Yep.
won the Seahawks the game was their blocking the field goal for the Patriots late in the fourth, and then it ended up winning in overtime. So kudos to the special teams. Like the Seahawks in all facets of the game yesterday, or 2 days ago, was just on point. Like they played an outstanding game from top top to bottom. So I really think this has a lot to do with coaching. So I'm impressed with their new head coach, man. I am.
Yeah. No,
And
I
I'm really happy with the Patriots head coach. Gerard Mayo is doing, I think, an outstanding job. I know a lot of people didn't have the Patriots, and me included, doing well. I mean, they're leaning into Ramondre Stevenson a lot. He had 21 carries for only 81 yards. Gibson had a better game. He had 11 carries for 96 yards. So they were still a little run heavy trying to figure out this offense. But when you're trying to figure out an offense when there really is no offense, good on you. Like, good on you. So I really liked this game. I thought it was very entertaining, even though there are two weaker teams, including in my eyes, still two weaker teams. Um, even though the Seahawks are 2-0 and then the Patriots are 1-1, I'm excited to see what both of these teams can do going forward. I think these can be two upset teams moving forward from what I saw in week one, what I saw in week two. Both of these teams have the potential to ruin some people's day.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And thank you, DK Metcalf, for being on my fantasy team.
Dude.
Basically, won me the week with how good he was. But yeah, you multiple times during the day, I was watching basically every other game but this, but multiple times you were like, you got to watch this game. You got to watch this game. And then I switched over to it, and it was a damn good game. Like that was I watched pretty much the whole fourth quarter and the
It was very entertaining. I mean, the first half was just outstanding.
yeah. When, as a Patriots fan, when do you think they should make the switch over from Brissett to Drake May?
I don't know. I mean, Jacoby did. I mean, yes, he lost, but he looked good. He protected the football, and that's been a knock on him for many years, was protecting the football. So
Mm.
I don't know, man. That's a tough call. Um, Ooh, I mean, if the Patriots can go about 500 for the season, which I do not expect and didn't expect, but if they can go 500 and like they're winning every other game, it's kind of hard to go away from Jacoby unless he's just not protecting the football in the games they lose.
Well, also yours upcoming schedule, the Patriots' upcoming schedule. This is the next
Well,
six, six
they have
games.
one of the hardest, if not it was the hardest. And so sorry. In some places it was saying it was the hardest schedule, other places were saying it was still one of like top 3 hardest schedules. So,
But this
um
might be your hardest stretch. You go Jets, Niners, Dolphins, Texans, Jaguars, Jets again. So you're facing Jets twice, Jaguars, Texans, Dolphins, 49ers. Woo. That is, yeah.
I'm
You
not
might,
I'm not I'm not too high on the Jets here. So,
oh, that's true.
and the Patriots
Well,
could beat the Dolphins now with Tua out.
oh, so
The
yeah.
Texan the Texans game, the Niners game, I expect them to get absolutely destroyed. So, especially against the Texans.
But man, how sweet is it going to be when you just make Will Levis do a dumb interception to win the game? How sweet is that Titans game going to be? But before we get to that game, Casino, we have to get to, I mean, a game that for some reason the NFL Red Zone just thought that everyone wanted to see every single play from this game and would not stop cutting back and forth to this game, which was driving me fucking crazy. Uh, the Giants give the Commanders all they have, and then they still get beat without the Commanders scoring a single touchdown. So the
Uh,
Daniel Jones goes two touchdowns, zero interceptions. They put up 18 points, and then they lose to the Commanders, who scored 21 points again without scoring a touchdown.
yeah.
Those were all kicks. Also, this is just the year in fantasy of the kicker. Every kicker is making 50-yard field goals. So now every kicker I play with or play against is now putting up 20 plus points.
Yeah,
This
dude.
is
So,
this is crazy.
yeah, Austin Siebert, 7 for 7. 7 for 7 and his long was 45. Dude, outstanding. Congratulate, like, game ball all day. Outstanding. That was just so much fun to watch. It really was. Um, but talk about great play. They couldn't finish in the red zone. That was Washington's only issue that game.
Mhm.
I mean, yes, their defense still let the Giants put up 18 points. Meh, 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 meh. But Brian Robinson Jr., 133 yards on the ground, outstanding. And you know what? I'm still happy with my pick. I think out of all of the rookie quarterbacks, Jaden Daniels is doing very well. He was 23 for 29, 226 yards. Yeah, no touchdown, but he protected the football. That is,
Well,
I'm all for that, man.
fun little stat for you, Casino. Speaking of Jaden Daniels, JJ McCarthy, who, as we know, got knocked out in the preseason, has thrown as many touchdowns as Caleb
All three,
Williams,
all
Jaden
three, yeah.
Daniels, and Bo Nix combined, because none of them have thrown a touchdown yet or
Which is
ran for a touchdown or
insane.
nothing. Yeah. Or no, I think Bo Nix has one rushing touchdown. I don't think Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels have touchdowns yet. But Jaden
Nice
Daniels
picture,
in
by the
that
way.
game. Jade Daniels in that game, 23 for 29, 226 yards, zero touchdowns, zero interceptions. He again, I saw most of this game, even though I wasn't watching it, because in one of my squares was red zone and they just would not stop cutting to this game. But every time they did cut to the game, Jaden Daniels was running for his life and just getting
Well, that's the
absolutely
thing. I
annihilated.
feel bad for all three of these quarterbacks. Their O lines are just horrible. Like we'll get
Mhm.
into we'll get to Caleb Williams, but a stat I saw on there is he had like I don't remember the exact numbers, but out of like 48 dropbacks or something like that, or 46 dropbacks, he had like 38.
I
Uh,
have that one saved. Yeah,
okay,
I
so you have
we'll
those. You
we'll
have
talk
those
about it.
numbers. Yeah,
Yes,
he
yes.
was running for his life every single play. So I mean, so this is where I'm liking Jaden Daniels much better for all the three quarterbacks. Is he's protecting the football and he's still producing some good numbers while still being under distress. So
Yes.
I like my Jaden Daniels pick. Right now, is he winning Rookie of the Year? No, it probably goes to one of the wide receivers or another player. But he is being very good with the ball security, and I like that. And I'm impressed with the Commanders on on that front.
Yeah, I think their defense is absolutely atrocious. So to hold again this Giants team to 18 points looks good on paper, but then you look at Daniel Jones having a really good game and then Singletary almost having 100 yards. I think that's also letting Malik Neighbors go for 130 on 10
Yeah.
receptions. I think literally you look at the receiving receptions for the Giants. Neighbors had 10, the next three guys had 5 receptions combined. So literally, you let Malik Neighbors and Singletary beat you on the arm of Daniel Jones. So that's, or almost beat you. That's why I think the Commanders, this might be a Seahawks situation like last year where the Seahawks just had one of the worst defenses, if not the worst defense in the league. And then they just had to put up basically 30, 35 points a game to even win. So the Commanders, I don't think they're capable of putting up 30 points, but they're just going to have to outscore everybody. I like their offensive weapons. I've always liked Brian Robinson. I think Eckler looks good in the limited
Hmm.
snaps they give him. And then McLaurin, he has had a rough start to the season, but when he can get open, he can be as deadly as any of the fast wide receivers in the league.
Hmm.
So, yeah,
Totally.
I also agree. I think Jaden Daniels, again, out of all the rookie quarterbacks, looks the best and most promising on a team that's not infinitely better than any of the other ones. So, yeah, that might be a sneaky, sneaky good pick for rookie of the year casino. But let's
I
move
mean,
on.
again, he had the second best odds. So
Let's move on again to a game we really don't have to even say anything about. Chargers destroy the Panthers, but what's more interesting is what happened after the game, and that is
this was
that
my blowout
Bryce,
of the week.
it was, and you nailed it.
It wasn't no,
Uh,
no, no, it wasn't the blowout of the week, but it was they won.
Bryce Young in this game, 18 for 26, 84 yards, one interception, no touchdowns, gets benched after the game. It is now Red Rocket time in
Let's go.
or not Red Rocket, Red Rifle. Is it
Oh, I
Red
call him
Rocket or Red? It's either
well,
one
I think it's Red Rifle. I call him Red Rocket because I mean, he's
of the South Park
still
episode.
well, yeah.
uh, um, but it is now
I have a lot of male dogs in my family. Like so
That is gonna be a clip taken out of context for many years.
Yeah, it is.
Um,
But I mean, it's very true. So the red rocket, like whenever one of our animals has their red rocket out, that's what we call it. So in my head, it's not the red rifle, it's the red rocket, and I find it funny as shit. And everybody corrects me. They're like, the red rocket, that's not what it is. I'm like, that's what it is. That's what it is. It's really funny every time. Sorry. It's just a personal thing I find that is really funny.
no, no, you just always have dogs, dicks on your mind. Not surprising.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not surprising. But, uh, in this game, Casino, Chargers win 26-3. Bryce Young, after he threw that interception, there's a close-up camera of his face that literally looks like he's about to start crying. So the thing the Carolina Panthers will make you do, and I talked about this on the Sunday show.
It
Remember,
looks
like
so bad.
2 years ago when they literally had Baker Mayfield like doing practice defense for their starting quarterback, and then they had Sam Darnold, and then they also had one other quarterback I can't remember, but now all those quarterbacks are leading like teams in the NFL. So this really comes down to, we talked about it with the Jaguars. This comes down to, I don't think it has anything to do with anything outside of like the culture and coaches and front office of the Carolina Panthers. Like John Tepper, the only reason I know his name is because I know for a fact he's the worst owner in the league. Like,
Oh yeah.
worst owner, the Carolina Panthers
All
are
that
just,
shenanigans last year. Ugh.
yeah, it just seems like it starts from the top, goes downhill, even from being like, the coach was like, we should draft CJ Stroud, and the owner was like, we should draft Bryce Young. And then they drafted Bryce Young. Here we are. Also, always fun to bring up this stat, Casino. The Bears traded Bryce Young to the Panthers for DJ Moore, another first round pick that became Darnell Wright, another second round pick that became a cornerback, Tyreek Stevenson, their 2024 first round pick, Caleb Williams, and they still have a second round pick in this year's draft for a quarterback that started a year and 2 games before he was benched. So great job, Carolina
And
Panthers.
they're also gonna get the number one overall pick too.
Oh yeah, they're gonna get the number one overall pick this year. There's already rumors that if it's Arch Manning or if it's one of the star quarterbacks, they're basically gonna pull in Eli Manning and refuse to go to the Panthers. That narrative has already started in NFL Week 2. So that'll be great to see it what happens until next April. But as far as the Chargers on this side, J.K. Dobbins,
Run it.
he was
Run it.
lit. J.K. Dobbins on the Ravens was literally in a wheelchair, couldn't get on the field, couldn't run a block, and now all of a sudden he goes to the Chargers. He's running 17 carries, 131 yards, averaging almost 8 yards a carry.
That's
What are we?
insane.
And then Justin Herbert, not a great game, but 2 touchdowns, 1 interceptions, 130 yards. Again, the pass happy league has now all of a sudden let my quarterback throw 150 yards and then let my running backs go off. When
Do
this
you
shit
remember that? Do you
happens,
remember that? It was like running backs, they shouldn't get paid. They're nothing in this league now.
and now it's every starting running back is going for 100 yards and almost as many yards. I mean, J.K. Dobbins ran for 1 more yard than Justin Herbert threw for, which is crazy. Crazy.
Oh,
And
Bubba.
again, he had 17 carries. Herbert had 14 completions. So almost as many completions as carries and a 1 yard difference. But the Chargers look really good. I'm not ready to jump on the Chargers bandwagon yet, Casino, because I feel like they haven't played.
No, after they take down the Chiefs in week 4, let's do it.
Well, even next week, Steelers Chargers. Like
Oh,
2-0, 2-0. That's going to be good. But I don't know, destroying the Raiders and then Panthers don't impress me much. Don't impress me much. But I still like what I see from them. Now let's go, Casino, to my game of the week, which was also happened to be blowout of the week, which I don't think anybody saw coming, which was the Saints absolutely destroying the Cowboys 44-19. And again, the reemergence, the resurgence, the reborn Derek Carr, 11 for 16, 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. But also, you can say all those things reborn, resurgence, reemergence of Alvin Kamara, who for it felt like 2, 3 years was just off the radar. He was injured. They weren't using him in any way than how he first came into the league, where he blew everyone's minds. Well, he's back to that because he went 20 carries, 115 yards, 3 touchdowns, and then he also caught a touchdown on 2 receptions, 65 yards. So Kamara, 4 touchdowns. I feel bad for anybody who played him against him in fantasy this day. They also had Shaheed, who had just if the Justin Jefferson touchdown wouldn't have happened, he would have had the best bomb of the day, catching it in between two safeties, going, I think it was like 70 yards for a touchdown. Chris Olave, 4 receptions, 81 yards. The entire offense just cooked the Cowboys casino. The Cowboys, on the other hand, Dak Prescott, 27-39, 293 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. One of those interceptions was abysmal. One of them was his wide receiver literally fell down at the exact second that if he fell down, that ball would be intercepted.
Yeah.
So I always feel bad, even if it's a quarterback for a team I don't like. I always feel bad for quarterbacks where that happens to, where it's like their guy just falls down and then it's an interception on you, and it's like,
Yeah. Let
how
me
is
ask
that
you
a
this.
stat
I know
against
the
the
Raiders. So let me ask you. I'm going to ask you this. So I'm agreeing. All your takes, great. The Saints. I mean, they have the most points between the first 2 weeks. They're crushing it. I want to ask you. Do you think the Raiders, even though they won last week against the Ravens, do you think that they're kicking themselves? They got rid of Derek Carr.
I think all these teams are. Like, if you're the Panthers, you're like, fuck, we could have had Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold. If you're the Raiders, you're like, we could have had Derek Carr. Like, all these teams that got rid of their quarterbacks, all of them are doing better. Like, I know we just praise Gardner Minshew, but
So I
he's
mean,
not
and
playing
that's
near a.
again that bring. It's how much is it? How much of it is the coaching, the front office, the schemes that they're trying to force these quarterbacks into?
Yeah. Well,
That
I
was
think
that
that's.
was my biggest thing for, and I felt so bad for. Again, I've talked about it all last season, but if you're new to the show, Mac Jones for the Patriots last year, like he went 3 years with 3 different offensive coordinators. He could get no rhythm. Like it's tough to see players that could possibly be like okay in the league just get shit on because they're in a wrong team. I mean,
Yep.
and we'll get to that because we're about to talk about the Steelers and Justin Fields. So like,
Yeah. Well,
uh,
it also, I think it's, to answer your question, I think it's a lot more than people want to admit. Where it's
yeah,
like scheme, it's coaching, it's front office. Because again, 49ers, Eagles have been contenders for the last decade
and I
just
know we haven't
because
got
of
to
their
it, and
GMs.
right, and I know we haven't got to it yet, but I mean, Packers, Malik Willis. I mean, he won a game. He
I
won a
was
game.
I was listening to shows and other podcasts, obviously not sports podcasts because we're the only podcast, but
Yeah,
other podcasts, other sports shows who are literally saying like, bet everything you have against Malik Willis. He is the worst starting quarterback in the league. And then you look at the Packers game, which actually we can get to that one right now,
yeah,
Casino.
he went 12 for 14, 122 yards. Not great, not great. He wasn't Anthony Richards numbers, but I mean, he threw a lot of interceptions. But Malik Willis protected the football. He won his team that game. I mean, it was mainly Josh Jacobs on the fucking ground, but regardless, I mean, he
Yeah,
protected the football and he did what everybody thought that he wasn't going to do was win. Good
yeah.
on him.
And again, we
Did
look
we pick
at
the Packers or the Colts in this game? I think we picked the Colts, right?
we both picked the Colts because of the
Yeah.
Malik Willis
Malik Willis going in.
opposite of hype, anti-hype. But yeah, he still threw a touchdown. Like you said, it was basically Josh Jacobs who they handed the ball to 32 times, which is incredible. But then the Colts, I thought the Packers defense was dog shit. But apparently they're still pretty good because they intercepted Anthony Richardson 3 times. They kept him in check all day. And again, it just seems like in this league now, you let the other opposing team's running back run for 100 yards and then just force the quarterback to throw, and all of a sudden everybody's winning games that way. It just seems, I don't know, weird, but
Oh,
also
my son is just having the best day of his life today. He's in such a happy from the moment he woke up this morning, which he woke up at like 4:30, he had a bottle and he went back to bed for an hour and a half. But ever since he woke up again, he's just having just the constant smile. He's just having running around the house doing he's not walking yet, but getting around the house, being a goofball. He's happy today. Happy baby. Good days.
happy baby. But also Casino, when it comes to the Colts, how confident now that they're 0-2, how confident are you in Anthony Richardson? Because we saw
I'm a
one game.
50-50. I'm 50-50.
I
I'm
mean, yeah.
literally how his games have ended out. I'm 50-50 here.
One good
He's
game,
got
one
an
bad
he's
game.
got an arm. We've got that. Now let's see if he can utilize it well, protect the football, and move forward.
Yeah. Speaking of moving forward, Casino, we'll lightly touch on this game because we kind of already went through it in our first segment, but the Browns destroyed the Jaguars, even though on paper it doesn't look like it. But watching that game, it literally felt like the Jaguars had no shot whatsoever. And that was when they lost to the Browns 18-13. I can't find it on my little thing over here. Where is it? There we go.
I mean,
They
you have trouble finding your little thing often, so
That's true. That's true. Red Rocket. Deshaun Watson
see? It's in
goes
your brain.
goes 22 for 34, 186 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I don't know what part of that game when you're watching it makes you go, is Deshaun Watson back? But watching that game, it
I mean,
never made me think that.
no, you're gonna look at the numbers, be like, "Oh, he protected the football. He did okay." His numbers aren't amazing, but he did okay. No,
But
no,
in that
he's
game, no.
he looks like a zombie. He looks like a shell of himself. Like he's out there. I'm like, I have trouble watching him. There's
Yeah.
no gusto. There's no care in the world to be playing football right now.
I think the Broncos maybe have the one of the least, if not the least, interesting offenses in the league. I think Browns are right there with them. I think they're top three, especially with no Nick Chubb. So you have Ford, who was fine. He went 7 carries, 64 yards, and then you have Foreman, 14 carries, 42 yards. But they just have, again, their best wide receiver, Amari Cooper, 3 receptions for 11 yards. Their just offense is anemic. It's not fun to root for them. You're not rooting for them because of the whole Deshaun Watson
John Watson,
factor.
yeah.
Their defense is good, especially against a Jaguars team that have no offense whatsoever. But yeah, it's just boring to watch. All right, Casino, we move on next to the game I know you're dying to talk about, and that is the Jets getting their first win under the Aaron Rodgers regime, 24-17. Aaron Rodgers goes 18 for 30, 176 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Give me your thoughts on this one, Casino.
Congrats. I mean, it did not look good. I was watching a lot of his game and through via the highlights on Red Zone, and he didn't look good. He didn't look good. And Robert Saleh, when they won that game, did you see it? It's like he won the Super Bowl. He was like, "Yeah, we won! Look at me!"
Well, he
That was,
doesn't win a lot of games.
dude. It blew
So
like it was really funny, and it was really funny, dude. He's bad. His coaching's bad. Oh, my son, this is gonna be great. Oh, this is gonna be loud. Sorry, my son, he had his balloons from his birthday party. He was just crawling. They're stuck to his feet. And as he was crawling, all I'm watching is these balloons going straight towards the fan.
like a slow moving disaster, which I still think
Ah,
this Jets team is, Casino. I have no
sorry,
faith in them,
sorry, that was funny.
especially from what I've seen
I have no
from them
faith.
so far. Will Levis, 19 for 28, 192 yards, 1 touchdowns, and then 1 interception. And for the second week in a row, an interception that literally made his coach mouth from the sidelines, "What the fuck are you doing?" Because as Will Levis is falling to the ground, he like two-hand shovel passes it to Like, I don't know his running back, but there's 3 Jets defenders standing around his running back. Why doesn't he take the sack right there? Who knows? But again, it leads to what'll probably be our if I can find a good picture of it, what'll probably be our thumbnail for the YouTube episode. But Pollard actually looked pretty good, especially running against that stout Jets defense, 17 for 62 yards, but he was only averaging less than 4 yards a carry. But again, when it comes to the Jets, Bryce Hall, I think it's Brees
Brees
Hall,
Hall.
14 carries, 62 yards.
I feel so bad. He was gonna have such a. I feel like he was gonna have such a promising future, and then he got injured that year. Like,
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's still bounced back from that. But
mm.
also the rookie running back, Allen, his backup, had about as good a game as Brees Hall did. 7 carries, 32 yards, a touchdown. He also caught a touchdown, same with Brees Hall. So 40 or Jets offense, not bad. But again, Rodgers will make like 5 throws that'll go in a highlight package, and then the rest of the game he'll just be average, and everybody will be slobbering over the 5 throws he made. So that's just going to be the Jets season. They look like an 8-9 win team to me. I think that's being generous.
I mean, I have even as of right now, I have the Patriots splitting with them right now because
Oh,
I've liked the schemes that the Patriots have put up for the last 2 weeks, and I'm really believing in Gerard Mayo right now, like as a good coach to situational football, figuring it out. I think he could stop Rodgers on one of the days.
well, also, I don't think you're ever at a coaching disadvantage against Robert Saleh with the Jets.
Oh yeah.
I think he's one of the, if not the worst coach in the
So
league.
I think the players, the personnel with the Jets is going to outplay the Patriots one of the games, but I think in one of those games, as of what I've seen in the first 2 weeks, I think one of those games the Jets are going to get out coached.
Yeah, I don't,
But then the
yeah.
personnel in the other game they could win.
Now let's go on to maybe one of the most interesting games of the week, Casino. A game I know you and I watched pretty much every snap of.
I loved it.
The 2-0 Bucks win 20-16 against the now 1-1 Lions. The Bake Show Casino, 12 for 19, 185 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Also had a rushing touchdown on the touchdown run that basically sealed the game for the Buccaneers.
He
Uh,
had their most rushing yards, 34 yards.
Yeah, and 2 of the best plays of the game were his back-to-back runs in the red zone. One was a one where
Situational football. He was very aware.
he just took off, made like 5 Lions defenders miss, and then the very next play was a designed quarterback draw that got the touchdown. So I'm really impressed. I don't know
Right.
who has impressed me more, the Saints or the Bucks, but both of them.
So I chalk this up to I know that you thought Goff had a really bad game because he had the 2 interceptions, but you know what I chalk this up to is you're having Jared Goff throw 55 times.
Yeah. Again,
55
55
times. He was
times in a
34.
close game.
He's 34 for 55. Like 34 completions. Like that's I mean, Baker only attempted 19.
Yeah,
So like
of all the quarterbacks we've talked about, like everybody's been attempting like 15 passes a game. They
yeah,
had him
so
attempt 55.
I mean, and the rushing wasn't bad. Jamar Gibbs, 13 carries, 84 yards. David Montgomery, I mean, he only got 35 yards off of 11 carries, but still, like, why is Jared Goff throwing 55 times? I know he's a great passing quarterback, but I chalk up that loss to he had to throw the ball that many times. You
Yeah.
know, if
There
you're going to
wasn't a
throw the
lot
ball
there wasn't a lot of
55, if you're going
balance.
to throw the ball 55 times, yes, he didn't get a touchdown, but if you're going to throw the ball 55 times, you can expect there being a higher chance of you throwing an interception. And look what happened. He threw 2. Like
That's a
I
good point.
I have trouble with this loss, and I just think Tampa's good. I think Tampa Bay is very good,
Yeah.
actually. So I don't knock the Lions, and I know you didn't have this on the jump ship or this or that, but I'm not jumping ship on the Lions at all. I still think they just went up against a team that was ready for them, and just beat them late game. Like Detroit was still in this game the whole game, so I'm not worried about the Lions. I'm not upset about their loss. I'm just it's sad to see Jared Goff get picked twice when he has to throw the ball 55 times. Um, Should they have punched a touchdown in via that many attempts? Sure. Um, but Tampa, I think Tampa's the real deal. I had a lot of fun watching that game.
Yeah, no, that was one of the best games of the weekend. Let's move on next to the Raiders. We already talked about it a little. They beat the Ravens, and again, as I said on the Sunday show, if anybody wants to listen to that, it's either on our YouTube or I've been putting it on the podcast feed as well. Every Sunday night, I'll just kind of give my immediate thoughts to Sunday football. But yeah, in this game, I think again, the thing that sticks out is the Ravens just always feel like they're kind of just letting the other team hang around, or they're kind of lackadaisical until it's like, oh shit, we might lose this game. Like, let's start like hitting our speed. And that kind of felt like what this entire, especially the second and third quarter, felt like. But then you look at, again, my biggest issue with this game is at the end, Lamar Jackson had to make one guy miss. He had a block downfield, and he's probably running in for the game winning touchdown. But instead, he decides to lateral it backwards on a play that I think has a 0.1% chance of ever working, which is the last play of the game where everybody's just lateraling it backwards over and over again, trying to get down the field. So I don't know why in his mind, again, as the MVP, as a great running quarterback, I don't know why he's not just trying to run down the field on that last play instead of trying to
He
pitch
was
it back 50 times. He had one guy to beat. He had a blocker downfield. I don't know. He's one of the best, if not the best running quarterback in the league. I don't know why he doesn't attempt that.
yeah.
And then again, he tries to do the lateral, which has a 0.01% chance of working. So I don't know. But Casino, we already talked about Raiders, Ravens. Anything else to add on this one, or can we move?
No, we can move.
Next up, another game we touched on briefly, which was the Rams getting absolutely rolled by the Cardinals 41-10. Apparently it was a giant smoke screen where Kyler Murray was like, it's not my job to get Marvin Harrison the Jr. And then Marvin Harrison Jr. the ball, and then immediately throws him two just deep bombs that get both of him his first two touchdowns in the league almost immediately.
Dude, only 4 receptions for the entire game, and it was 130 yards and 2 TDs.
Yeah. And he looked great.
Kyler Murray impressed me that game. But I also have to think that it was just because LA couldn't keep on the field with their, non-existing offense currently.
That's true. But also, are we back on the Kyler Murray train, Casino?
No. I'm not.
You're still off of it.
I'm still off of it. Go 5-1, go 5-1, go 6-2, and once you do that, then I'll be like, okay.
Well, this is credit to Al Smizzle on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. He said, and I quote, Kyler Murray is playing really well. You have a sell high window until week 8. Do you know what happens in week 8?
No.
Week 8 is October 25th, 2024, which is when the new Call of Duty comes out. So, so again, we're going to see the best of Kyler Murray until about week 8, week 9. And then, so week 7, sell high on Kyler Murray. But so far, all jokes aside, Kyler Murray, especially this game, 17 for 21, 266, 3 touchdowns, 0 interception. There's that clip that went viral of him literally making the same guy trying to sack him miss like 3 times. Him and Lamar Jackson are just so hard to bring down. They're so elusive in the pocket. They have just breakaway speed. I've always said Kyler Murray looks like the fastest person on the field in almost every game he plays in the NFL, which is impressive for a quarterback. But Kyler Murray, again, I like what I'm seeing from the Cardinals. I like with him. They probably should be 1-1 if they just didn't hit a buzzsaw that is the Buffalo Bills. So I like the Cardinals. Again, I might switch my allegiances from the Rams to the Cardinals just based on injuries alone. Next up, Casino, the game I know you have been dying to talk about, and that is the Chiefs. A late flag, you won't believe this. A late flag helps the Chiefs win a game. Again, I've already done my rant. Go listen to the Sunday show if you want to hear my rant about this game. Go ahead, Casino. Unleash.
I'll be honest. I've got no
Just
more
tired.
energy. I just got no more energy for it. I really don't. I even said that to you. I'm like, I was yelling and screaming and okay. Um, it was could have been a little early, sure. But my issue with the whole thing is the late flag. It was a late
Mhm.
flag, and the call comes out after the replay is shown on the Jumbotron. That's my issue. Okay. And all the close calls seem to always go the Chiefs' way late.
Yes.
That's my issue with those are my issues. And could it have been where the guy got there early? Sure, but I could also argue that they're both going for the ball. They are both making a football move for the ball. Like he wasn't trying to
Yes.
stop the defense, he was trying to catch the football. And in ultra slow mo, he's there early. And in real time, he could have been there maybe a fourth of a second early, half of a second early, but enough to where if you're going to make that call, you have to do it right away. Not wait until the play is dead and wait for Mahomes to go, what? And then the flag get thrown, and then everybody get together and then look up at the Jumbotron and go, oh, he was there. Do you see? He was there early. We're
Well
justified. We're
well,
justified.
also, with when it comes to stuff like that,
So
the Joe Burrow fumble that turned into a touchdown, there was no call on the field for like 3 minutes until finally, and again, the conspiracy theorist in me goes, so were they just waiting to see, were they waiting to make sure not to call it that he was down because then you need irrefutable evidence to overturn it? So the conspiracy theorist in me goes, they're not making a call because they don't want it to be definitive in a way where they will fuck up a call. But then also, Patrick Mahomes right now has 17 interceptions that have been called back due to a defensive penalty, most in the NFL since 2018. And that's one of those things where it's not like Aaron Rodgers, where he has a free play and then he just chucks a deep ball, right? Which he's like the best in the league at. These are always things where the flag comes out after the interception. So you can all day sit there and say, like,
and that's
oh,
and there was my point
yeah,
where the league has gone to they've muddled the rules enough to where you can justify by rule things being called fouls, and doing them late is the biggest issue I have with all of it.
I agree.
With
Yeah.
all of it.
And that's
If
not
you
even a
had
conspiracy
that
theory.
flag out right as like within 2 seconds after that happened, after that play, and you had the flag already in the air on the ground, and then you immediately go pass interference, I would have been like, shit. But it wasn't. It was delayed. It was late. The everybody on the sideline for the Bengals were already celebrating. Like they had time to celebrate and be like, "We won. We did it." Oh, a flag.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like get
Well,
just be consistent with it. It's so frustrating.
well, also,
And it only seems and correct me if I'm wrong, it only seems to happen with the Chiefs. Like, is it just because we're so focused on the Chiefs and expecting this to happen for the Chiefs, or are we just missing it in other games where it's late calls or controversial calls? Am I just missing it? And I'm just hyper focused on the Chiefs getting these calls, or is it just happening?
well, it's also one of those things where,
I mean,
again,
this is
now,
one of Patrick Mahomes' worst games I think I've ever seen him play, and yet
yeah.
they still win.
Well, that comes down to like the luck factor of just dynasties, right?
But he has the luck factor every single week, every single game
Oh yeah. Well,
for the last 4 years.
yeah. No, I agree with you. And also, all the Chiefs fans that now all of a sudden exist. I've never met a Chiefs fan in my life,
There's
except
only
there's one person I know who's been a Chiefs fan since I was a kid.
so
Now all of a
there's
sudden, every person I meet is a Chiefs fan.
I
But
have 2 Chiefs fans that I've known. One, he's born in my best friend, Chris. He was a Chiefs fan, but his family got season tickets to the Raiders, and he wasn't like big into the NFL. He was always a Chiefs fan. But
Yeah.
then when the Raiders came in, he's like, "Okay, I'm a Raiders fan now. We got season tickets." Thank you, honey. And then the other one is we're gonna go to Lawless, but we're gonna go
What
get our
a
haircut today.
also what a strange allegiance switch from the Chiefs to the
That's
Raiders
I give him
right in the
shit for it
Chiefs.
every single, and you know on Sunday I'm gonna give him so much shit for it. But anyway, um, okay, honey. Yes.
But my point was going to be all these random Chiefs fans that come out of the woodwork now. There's a clip online you can see of Patrick Mahomes bitching about the one call and one officiating thing that's ever gone against him. So this like bullshit of like you can't bitch about the flags or when
Yeah.
calls go against the Chiefs. The one time it's ever happened against the Chiefs, all of them wouldn't shut the fuck up and stop bitching about it.
Yeah.
Literally on the field. So shut up.
Yeah. What I was gonna say is, and before my daughter just came in, was I know one true Chiefs fan. Like, he's been a Chiefs fan his whole life. You know him well. My older brother's friend Weston,
Yeah.
and God, does he not shut up about it? And we're giving him so much shit in our friends chat about that that you're not a part of. But my older brother and our friends, and we're just giving him so much shit. And he just keeps reposting three-peat because he knows he's not an idiot, but he's just gonna lean into it just
Yeah.
so heavily and just taunt us because he's just being a dick. And I find it funny, but he's just like, three-peat. What are you talking about? Three-peat. I'm like, shut up.
Yeah.
I hate you.
Shout out to my cousin Randy, who's been a Chiefs fan his entire life. And now he's not a dick about it. He's just really happy that his team's winning. So I wish I knew more Chiefs fans like that, but we don't. Next up, Casino, we're gonna blow through these last couple ones.
Oh yeah, because we still have
Because
college ball and we're already over an hour.
yeah, so the last 3 games, the Monday night game, I mean, I literally did a 20-minute solo podcast last night where you can hear all my thoughts about the Monday night game. I have no different thoughts this morning. Casino, any thoughts on the Falcons Eagles game?
Nope. Except for Kirk Cousins finally showed up in prime time.
Yeah.
Prime time Kurt.
Again, embarrassing. You can
Prime time Kurt.
I'm gonna put my 20-minute rant at the end of this episode so you can hear, or actually no, just go watch the other video. I'm not doing that.
I'll just go watch the other video.
Yeah, just go watch the other video if you just want to hear about the Eagles loss. Steelers Broncos, there's nothing to talk about. Steelers are good. Defensively, their offense actually doesn't look that bad either.
So I
with
mean, the only
Justin
things I want to talk
Fields.
about this is Justin Fields is now 2-0.
Yep.
Do you think he stays the quarterback if they keep winning? Even though they have announced that Russ is going to be the starter when he comes back.
I mean, honestly, Russell Wilson's on a 1-year deal. He's Justin Fields is younger. There's more potential. He's leading a 2-0 team. Why not just keep the hot hand until Fields starts fucking up or fumbling or doing all that?
Right. And also, all those Steelers fans out there there's every single Steelers fan out there who I know hate their coach. I'm like, how can you get rid of a coach when he still wins? How?
Yeah. Bo Nix, again, there was that great press conference he did at the end where he said, where they asked him, like, how did you throw or what did you see on those 2 interception throws? And then he was like, I didn't see the other defender, and then he caught the ball. Like that is I'm paraphrasing, but he said something like that. That
That's
is
so
a great
great.
answer.
That's great. That's great.
But
The new Bill
again,
Belichick.
all those Broncos fans who thought the Broncos would be good and Sean Payton that were blowing up our comments, where are you? 0-2, where are you? But let's move on, Casino, to the Sunday night game. Basically what we take away from that game, Steelers and Broncos, is Broncos are bad, Steelers are good, and Steelers defense is legit.
Fair
But
enough.
let's go on to the Sunday night game, Casino, where it was the Bears and the Texans. Thoughts on this game, Casino? And also, before you get into it, the stat you were trying to pull up, I have right here where it was Caleb Williams getting sacked. It is right here. So, according to Next Gen Stats, Caleb has faced pressure on 23 of his 48 dropbacks this season. There were 36 total individual pressures by 10 different pass rushers. But however, several were on the same play. So, yeah. So he is just, I mean, the Bears offensive line is abysmal. The Bears quarterback play is abysmal as a result. And
Yeah.
now this weird Caleb Williams discourse. He goes 23 for 37, 174, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. One of those interceptions was also abysmal. He literally threw it on the run to his guy who was behind
Yeah.
3 Texans
And speaking of
defenders.
interceptions, I know we didn't. I'm just going to touch on it real fast. Speaking of interceptions, that second interception Pat threw, that
Oh,
that interception might be one of the greatest, if not the greatest interception I've seen in my entire life.
oh yeah, it was like an Odell Beckham, like one hand behind the back and like
It
scoop under.
might be. I can't think of another, so it truly might be the greatest interception I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
Kudos to that. But
that
anyway,
was amazing.
uh, Texans, Bears. I feel bad for. I do. I feel bad for Caleb Williams, but I called it. He's got to show up. He's not showing up. This team is bad. Like their defense is pretty good, but I mean their defense is nice. I mean they held the Texans to 19 points and they made them work for it. But man, that offense is so bad. So how much of it is how much of it is it's the culture, the offensive culture in Chicago. They've never had a good offense. Like and then like I said, you have the Green Bay Packers always having a good offense. And then look what happens over there this week. Like, is it just the organizations that have bad offensive reps? Like,
I don't know.
I don't know,
The
but like
Bears
Caleb.
literally in our lifetime have never had a good offense.
Right. And then you have Justin Fields who's now 2-0 with the Steelers. Like I mean, Caleb Williams, I feel bad for all of these young quarterbacks, just as bad as just as I felt for Mac Jones when he was with the Patriots. Like these are all more talented quarterbacks than Mac Jones, and they're still getting their dicks kicked in.
Yeah.
And but I really like CJ Stroud. They're going to continue winning. I really think the Texans could be the team now. I said at the beginning of the year, the Texans and Ravens could be the teams that will knock off the Chiefs. I like the Texans. I like what they can do. They haven't really know much. I mean, Joe Mixon did nothing in this game.
No.
But I mean, again, the Chicago defense is pretty dang okay. Stephon Diggs didn't do anything. So I think the Texans got away with it where they went up against a good defense and they were able to get it taken care of. But as the season goes on, they're going to play tough defenses, and I think they will get their stars better. Oh my gosh, my kids are just this is a kid riddled show. I apologize, everybody. I'm trying my best to do the mute, and this is why I try to do the podcast when he's asleep.
Yeah. But yeah, I think when it comes to the Caleb Williams, again, the discourse was never coming from him. The only thing that got leaked that was from him, where you were just kind of like, was the thing where he texted the Bears punter and was like, "You're not going to be punting a lot this season." But again, that wasn't a media thing. That was like a thing he sent to his teammates, whatever, that got out, whatever. But the narrative around Caleb Williams, again, every single show, every talking head was Caleb Williams is the first rookie quarterback going into a ready-made offense, the best situation ever for a rookie quarterback. That's all we heard. He did 2 throws in the preseason, and everybody was just like, threw up their hands and were like, he's exactly what we think he's going to be. This Bears team's exactly like what we thought they were going to be. Vegas had this Bears team as a 9.5 win team. Like, Casino and I would come on here every time during the preseason or when we did the previews for the NFC North, specifically the Bears, and we would just like try to talk ourselves into how the hell the Bears were a 9.5 win team. And then we could never do it. We never saw the blueprint. We never saw anything with this Bears team.
And the only reason they won week 1 was because of the defense with 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, and then you look at Justin Fields in the Steelers. He's not doing anything, but like you said, with so many other quarterbacks, he's protecting the ball. So he's protecting the ball. He's not making mistakes. Caleb Williams rolling out to his right, throwing into triple
And he's on a
coverage.
team that has a winning culture.
Yeah, And it's like just one of those things where nobody knew if the Bears coaching staff was going to be good coaches. The dream team thing where it's like we just assemble all new players on offense and defense in one season and then go to the Super Bowl has never ever happened or worked. So I've never been more confident in a pick we made on this show than the Bears will not be a playoff team.
Yeah, the
As
only
if
the
they
only
were
team
ever
that
going to
I can
become
recall that
close.
went from one of the worst teams to almost winning the Super Bowl was the Texans last year.
Yeah. And even then they were like 3 games away from winning the Super Bowl. It's
Yeah.
not like they got to the, AFC Championship. But all right, Casino, that's all the NFL we have. Again,
Oof,
you want to hear
that was a lot.
a grieving session for the Eagles Monday night game. Go listen to yesterday's episode. But now, Casino, let's talk about college football
We
week
gotta do this
3.
fairly quick because I gotta
Well,
hit
I
the
don't really
road.
have anything for college football.
I
So this
do.
is this is Casino's corner, actually.
Nice.
Casino's corner for college football. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, Notre Dame finally showed up against Purdue. They absolutely blew them out. Good on them. Good on them. Really, there wasn't a lot of games that I was into. I was hoping that the Oregon State game would be good. It was not. Oregon absolutely destroyed. Um, and we were hoping that the Oklahoma State or the Kansas State and Arizona game was going to be good. That was a dud. There was just a lot of blowouts. I will say Boston College, who is just outside of the rankings with my team, we'll get to that in a second, played Missouri in Missouri. I thought this was going to be a blowout. 21-27. Boston College, I think, is the real deal. I
Yeah.
think they're the real deal. This is very exciting to see. I'm really happy with them. LSU squeaks by South Carolina, but South
That was the good
Carolina,
game. That was the
that was
game
a
I
great
watched.
game.
Yeah.
That was a great game. But I will also say, and I'm saying this for a reason because there's potential that these teams can make the playoffs. So again, UNLV, they are now in the coaches poll, or in the AP poll, they're 29th, but I was looking at the numbers. Like it's the 29th to the 26th. They're all within like 4 votes of each other. So it's pretty much they're all right there. But UNLV, for the first time in its history, they made the top 25 in the coaches poll, which is, or in just national rankings at all, which is very, very cool. My buddy who is from Massachusetts, he's a Boston College fan. He lives here now, and so he's obviously a Rebel fan as well. He said it. He's like, my teams are almost 1 win away from both being in the top 25. Boston College and UNLV. Like hell will freeze over. But I'm actually, the wife and I are most likely going to be going to, and I was going to see if you wanted to do something if she wants to go. It would be before I have to work on the Saturday the 28th. They're playing Fresno State at 12:30. I'm going to try to go to that game whether she goes or not. But I'm excited for that. They're 2-1. UNLV's 3-0.
Yeah.
They're having a bye week this weekend. I'm excited, and UNLV could possibly do this. And I think I've alluded to it a little bit last week on how the playoffs work. You got the top 5 power conferences; they get automatic bids for winning their championship, their conference championship. Then you got 6 at-large bids, and then you got the 12th bid, which is they're taking 5 conferences, which is Mountain West is one of them, and they're going to look at the 5 champions of that and determine who would get in. So UNLV has a real shot as of right now, as long as they win their Mountain West Conference championship, to make that 12, which would be insane. I'm
Yeah.
really excited for this 12 team playoff. Outside of me being a homer with UNLV, but they're actually good this year, which is crazy, and about to break the top 25. They did in the coaches. The great games this week, again, were really only 2. I like the Missouri Boston College game, and I really like the LSU South Carolina game.
Well,
Everything else was
also
very mid.
I think the one we have to talk about is number 2 Georgia winning 13-12 against Kentucky. That
Did I miss that one?
was
Oh, I did. That one's at the bottom. I forgot.
that one
I
was a
didn't watch it. So
shocker.
here's the thing. I didn't watch any of that game. So it's at the bottom here. I'll be honest. I totally missed that. I totally missed
uh
that.
I didn't watch that in real time either. I just watched the highlights afterwards. But yeah, for Georgia being number 2 playing Kentucky. Also, shout out to a friend who you've met before, my friend Luke. Huge Nebraska fan. They're 3-0 this season. They look
Yeah.
legit.
They got a
So
big week. They got a big game coming up next week. They are in Nebraska. They are playing Illinois. They're
on
both
Friday
ranked.
night. Yeah.
Yep, 24-22. That's a marquee matchup right there if I've ever seen one. That's going to be a fun, fun, fun game.
And I've always loved Cal. Cal is also 3-0, so shout out Cal.
Yeah, and then
Uh
next week we got a great lineup. So we got that one on Friday night. We have USC versus Michigan, which is 11 versus 18 in Michigan in out there. Then you have Tennessee, Oklahoma, so 6 versus 15, which will be
I
great. We
think
got
you're
Utah versus Oklahoma State, which is 12 versus 14. We will talk more about all these games on Thursday's show, but I'm excited. There's gonna be some good stuff.
yeah. A lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff next week.
And
But
sorry again for my children in the background, mainly my son, finding everything that makes noise today, including himself.
that's okay,
Yeah.
Casino, because this is the end on one of our most recent longer podcasts, but I really feel like we covered it all here today, Casino. Anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
I didn't do the dishes last night, and they're still in the dish. They're still in the sink right now. If you haven't got yourself a deep sink, do it. It's the
Deep
greatest
sink.
thing. I
Deep
mean, seriously, the large deep sink, they're fantastic. I'm sitting down right now, and I can't see. I see one cup coming up, but I know that's loaded to the brim of dirty dishes.
Yeah.
Get a deep sink.
Dirty dishes, deep sinks, and dog dicks. This has been the Only Sports Podcast. We will see you Thursday. I'm Will. That's Casino over there. Adios.
Bye.